Never gets old for me. I don't know about you, but it never gets old for me. Welcome, my friends. Welcome, one and all. Welcome, seekers of adventure and seekers of treasure. Welcome to the Gaming Galleon. I'm Captain Raz, and we find ourselves in a very relaxing part of the country today. We're in the Northwest. Although, if you had asked me before we got started here, I would have thought the Northeast. But we're actually far in the Northwest of the United States. We find ourselves on the choppy waters of Astoria, Oregon. There's green woods everywhere. There's a bit of an overcast. There was even some rain coming in. But it wasn't enough to slow us down. We were able to dock and take a look at the hilly confines of this small, what do you call the Northwest? Because it's New England in the Northeast. So my first instinct is to call it New England. Obviously it's not. So perhaps Northwestern town. We saw the sights, did a little antiquing. We even got some food. We tried some authentic Mexican. It was me and Biz and a couple other guys came along. Scabs and Hooky showed up, and the four of us went to this authentic joint. I couldn't even pronounce what it said, but Bismuth is a little bit better when it comes to reading the menu, and he told me that they had grilled chicken with seasoned rice and then queso, cheese sauce, smothering the whole shebang. So that put me on board, and oh my god, it was amazing. Why do we find ourselves out here? This is actually the town where The Goonies was shot. A very beloved movie if you're a guy like me who grew up as a kid in the 80s. We're going to be celebrating The Goonies today. We're going to be playing one of the very few Goonies games out there. And there's a very interesting story behind this game itself, aside from it being a Goonies game. We'll also be cracking open the chest. We've got some nice stuff in here to gawk at and fondle. And we've also been lucky enough, blessed enough, to get something sent from you folks out there. We've got a package all the way from the Northeast, all the way from New England. So while we sit in the Northwest, we'll be opening a box from the Northeast. How exciting, huh? So it should be a very fun hour. I'm not too worried about are we going to crash and burn. This game's relatively easy. And it should be a good time. So, The Goonies. I don't know if you've ever seen The Goonies, played The Goonies. If you grew up with the Nintendo Entertainment System, you may remember a friend of yours having a very common game called Goonies 2. Do we need a microphone check here? Check. Better? Alright, I'll speak up. Okay. Turn it up. I'd rather overmodulate than them not hear me. Okay? Alright. For God's sakes. The Goonies was a movie that came out in 1985. And it starred a bunch of kids. And they were all kids from different walks of life who grew up in Astoria, Oregon. And it's about them facing their town, their houses being foreclosed on, and trying to find a way to save their homes. And miraculously, they discover a pirate map that supposedly leads to 17th century pirate treasure. Can you imagine that kind of adventure, my friends? Do you remember the days when you had a crew? Do you remember the days when you had friends to hang around with? You know, when you become an adult, you start to meet people. It's still possible to meet people. It's still possible to hang out and you know, go to lunch. But the days of just having, a place where everybody just congregates after work are long gone. Spouses get in the way, children get in the way, video games get in the way, hobbies get in the way. In 2017, there are just way too many distractions for you to waste your time hanging out in person with your friends. And the Goonies is a perfect example of what it was like back in the 80s when you would go to somebody's house or maybe a forest preserve or wherever your headquarters were or garage and hang out. Everything was geared toward that. There was, everyone, VHS, even any sort of taped media was very expensive. So only one guy in the neighborhood would have a copy of Star Wars. You guys would get together to watch that. There were only so many Nintendo games out there. There was only a Nintendo. The Nintendo in the 80s was kind of like the Ed Sullivan Show of the 50s. Everyone was playing it. And when you weren't playing it, you were discussing it. And Goonies is the perfect... If you ever wanted to know what it was like to live that life that we got to live as kids in the 80s, after school, those 2-3 magical hours between after school and dinner time. Watch the Goonies. And it gets even better when the ideas of riches and pirates are thrown in the mix. Now, the video game is interesting because, as I said, there was always one guy in the neighborhood who had a copy of Goonies 2. My neighborhood, not so much. I don't ever remember playing the Goonies 2, but if you look up a copy of the Goonies 2 for the Nintendo Entertainment System these days, you're going to realize how many copies of this game there were made, because it's a very cheap, very common game. It's not a bad game. It's very well made. It's made by Konami, makers of Contra and Jackal and Castlevania. So it's a solid game. It was just made so much that obviously everyone had it. Myself, no. And my neighborhood, no. So I haven't played a lot of the Goonies 2. But if you ever wondered why the Nintendo Entertainment System had the Goonies 2 when there was no movie called the Goonies 2, that's because there were actually 2 Goonies games for the Nintendo Entertainment System. There's the Goonies 1, which basically follows, as well as an 8-bit game can, the plot line of the actual movie, The Goonies. And then there's the Goonies 2, a game that made it to American shores, about Mikey, the lead character, Sean, forgot the actor's name. He played Sam Gamgee in Lord of the Rings, and he also played the title character in Goonies. He also plays the character that we're playing today, Mikey. In Goonies 2, Mikey basically is saving a mermaid. It's a totally different story that has nothing to do with the movie. So if you're a child at 8-9 years old and you hear about the plot of Goonies 2 and it being completely different than the movie, it makes perfect sense that it's called Goonies 2. And it makes perfect sense that there's no video game called Goonies 1 because that was the movie. No, that's not what happened. In fact, the Goonies 1 was a popular, very popular game on the Famicom out in Japan. And for whatever reason, it was not brought here. The only time it was ever able to be played in America was, believe it or not, in the arcades. Nintendo had arcade cabinets called Play Choice 10s. And much like a Neo Geo machine would carry a number of their games in one cabinet, the Nintendo's Play Choice 10 allowed you to pick from 10 different Nintendo games that you could play for a limited amount of time. You pop in a quarter, you'd get 5 minutes of gameplay with any of the 10 games you wanted to. You could even reset, and you basically rented the machine for 5 to 10 minutes. And Goonies 1 was one of the games that actually made it onto the Play Choice 10. So this game's never made it to American shores. How did I get a copy of Goonies, the original Goonies, which is what we're playing? Just to be clear, we're not playing Goonies 2 today. We're playing Goonies 1. How did I get a copy of this? Well, that's the nice thing about living in 2017 is where you think the Nintendo Entertainment System is dead, is far from dead. Even if you're able to amass every licensed and unlicensed game ever put out during the years that the Nintendo was in production, 85 to 95. Since then, many companies, many independent companies, have either created a game from scratch or have brought over games from the Famicom, placed them into a Nintendo game, and made it possible for us to play it on our Nintendo machines. So I believe I got this copy of the Goonies 1 for around $25. I just fell in love with the label, and I've always loved the Goonies, so I thought it would be a worthwhile purchase. I have not played this since I bought it more than a year ago. I thought it would be a little more interesting if we went in blind, because it's basically a 2D side-scroller. Let's discover together, let's make mistakes together, and let's be Goonies. And let's never say die. It's the Goonies! I want to say for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Can I say that? Maybe for the Famicom? It's in that limbo world. But it's the Goonies nonetheless. Let's grab the harp of transition. Let's leave the pirate ship behind. And let's enter a creepy, old abandoned house filled with vermin and criminals looking to track us down as we look for buried pirate treasure. Alright, I'm going to give you a little... Let's cut the video there, we'll cut the audio. Alright, here we go. Or I'll give you audio, I should say. Alright. Get this on here. Okay, let's get started. Listen to the music, first of all. This is one thing that was missing. Oh, an attack. Oh, no yo-yo. Alright, now that's a bomb that I believe I can use on this door here. Let's give it a shot. Nope. How do I use it? Okay, down and attack. Oh! Hey, that's one of my friends. It's one of the other Goonies. Alright, let's keep looking for bombs here. Now this is the base. Ah! Oh man, I have light bar. Whew. So this is actually the building, the cabin, where the Goonies find themselves in. Chunk's been kidnapped. The fat guy in the Hawaiian shirt, fat kid in the Hawaiian shirt. Got a couple bombs here. We can only carry one bomb at a time, apparently. Obviously, there's mice everywhere. I don't think they were bipedal in the movie or in reality. But hey, it's the beauty of Nintendo. Now, what do I do with this key? Got a bomb. Let's blow up this. Another key. Is there a locked door on here somewhere? But how about this music? Do you guys know this song? This is the actual title song to the movie The Goonies. I'm relatively sure this was not in Goonies 2. Oh. So that alone, I feel like is worth the price of admission. What do I need, a third key? Oh yeah, there we go. There's another door up there. Always remember, Nintendo's traditionally everything's in threes. Boss is gonna take you 3 times to kill. If a door's not opening, try 3 keys instead of 1. You know. Alright, it looks like we've made our way down. Oh, ah! into the cavern here. How many stupid keys do I need? Oh, no! Oh, gosh, we're critical. Nope, nothing like that. Clearly I'm missing something. Why is he a fox now? This stupid criminal, get off my back! There's no more doors. Oh, come on. I kicked him. Oh, we ran out of time? Oh, this is gonna be rough, guys. What's with the white mouse? Okay, crucifix. That's what happens when you don't do your homework. What is he doing? Oh, sure, now it works. What, do I have to press the, press toward him or something? Did I not? Maybe I didn't get close enough. So now we find ourselves in the catacombs. And again... Ooh. Pretty similar to the game. The movie. In that, once they get underneath the cabin, they start to find the catacombs the pirates left. And they also find the plumbing underneath Astoria. You'll notice the pipes there. And as they traverse this cavern, they start to realize there's puzzles, there's traps. And they have to be careful to get through them. I'm not going to be able to go this way. I need keys. That timer's a real jerk. I have to keep that in mind. I am not looking at the time, and I have no idea how far along in the show we are. And that's a real testament to how fun this game is. Oh boy, I don't like this at all. It's very, very approachable game. Very fun. Ooh, a slingshot. Looks like I got 50 shots with this guy. Very nice. Full health. I'll take it. Now again, isn't it fascinating to find out that this game was out in Japan first, an American movie, and then the first one never made it here, but the sequel did. The fact that there's a sequel at all is fascinating, and that's because it was just this is a very popular, very approachable game for the time. So much so that Konami made this really cool game, and I don't know the name of it. I've seen it played, and I don't even know the name, but it's one of the coolest Famicom games I've seen. If I could give a Famicom game, this would be the game to get. And it's basically a side scroller like this, but it's a crossover game, and it features. It's made by Konami, and it features all of their title characters as playable. You have to go through the game. You have to track down these other characters, and then eventually get to use them. And so this is a game that has it's got Simon Belmont in it from Castlevania. It's got Vic Viper in it from Gradius. It also has the Easter egg, the Easter Island heads from Gradius. It's got Twin B, I realize if you don't know anything about Konami, this doesn't make any sense. But if you do know anything about Konami, Nintendo Konami, the fact that they put all their best characters, all their most well-known characters, into a side-scrolling adventure is very exciting. Now, there's a couple of characters most people don't know, like Goemon. Goemon is known as, here in the States, is known as Legend of the Mystical Ninja, a very popular Super Nintendo game. And even Mikey. Mikey from the Goonies makes it into this weird Konami crossover game. This seems like we've been here. But no. Okay, it's just... Alright, I know there was a closed door over here. We're running out of time. Give me a bomb. I had to run through that because I need to get... That's not what I need. That was a free life, though, so that wasn't bad. Or maybe it wasn't a free life. No. No, it wasn't a free life. We're in trouble. The real challenge of this game doesn't seem to be the obstacles yet. Am I going to get bombed here? Okay. It's getting all the way back to where I started. How short was that? Guys, we've got to be way over time, and I apologize for that. I'm just really enjoying this. We're gonna get to the end of this level here, or run out of time. One of the two. 15 seconds. Booty segment's next. Booty segment in 6, 5. No, Raz! I was in a rush. That was right there. Do I get in now? Of course I get in now. I've got all the keys. Yeah, I wasn't gonna make it anyway. I would have had to go through this whole... Wow, they really laid the time on you, huh? No wonder this was in the Play Choice 10 machine. I don't care how good they are. They're not gonna make it in this time. Alright, we'll leave it there. Fun music. Tally up my score. Let's press pause there. Grab the harp of transition if we can. And I can't believe I waited this long. I've been this busy. I've been enjoying the experience so much. I haven't even looked at the time. Where are we at? We're good. Yeah, we're okay. Alright, so The Goonies. It's a game, like I said, you're going to have to go on eBay to grab this one. They're well made. Look for the right, look for a guy who's got a good rating. That'll tell you that the cartridge he's made is of good quality, and he's going to get it to you in a reasonable amount of time. And $25 for a game you can play on your Nintendo with this. I really feel like the $25 for me, I'm paying for the company who made it, Konami, and the source material, The Goonies. And I didn't even blink. As soon as I saw it, I had to get it, and I'm very happy with it. Okay, booty segment. Okay, you ready for some action? We've got a couple deals in here. Yeah, we've got good stuff. Let's take a look. All right, let's get started. Okay, the first one here was just some really cheap stuff that I found at a Salvation Army, super cheap. Everything in this bag was $1 each. Always happy to find that. First thing here was a really heavy-duty Game Boy Advance. I can only call it a purse. I mean, look at how big it is. It says 99 cents there on the label, but this was actually happened to be a day where this was the yellow tag. Yellow tags were half off. So we got this guy for 50 cents. I've looked through it thoroughly. There's nothing in here. But, I mean, what a juggernaut of a bag for your Game Boy Advance. It's even got like an extra cable, I don't know, extra strap in here. They weren't fooling around when they made this bag. It's made by Nintendo. You can tell that from the clips here. Even say the clips themselves even say Nintendo. It's got that official Game Boy Advance logo. Very durable. I may fill it up with just some doubles and an old Game Boy Advance. But it was just too hard to pass up for 50 cents. So pretty cool. I don't ever pay a lot for those things. They just tend to take up space. But that one was too cool to pass up. We've got some PlayStation 1 games here that we found just amidst the sea of CDs. And I may have told you this before. I don't think I've ever said this, actually, on a voyage. So I'll say it now. If you come across a pile of CDs on a shelf, there's a good way to narrow down the search beyond just looking through every title. And that's for looking for the region coding. What region of the globe was this game made for? It's in the same place, and any jewel-cased game you can think of, especially PlayStation 1 and Dreamcast. Okay, let me show you what I'm talking about. We have 5 games here. We'll go through them real quick. Spec Ops Covert Assault, Twisted Metal 4, probably the best one of the bunch. Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit, Need for Speed High Stakes, and then finally a random demo disc that was actually sold for $5 back in the day. This was not a free demo disc. People would pick this up at a garage sale or at a gas station or something. But here's the thing. You'll notice that all the black labels here we have right there NTSC. Every black label PlayStation game you're ever going to come across is going to have that there. So if you keep in mind that that's going to be there in a stack of CDs, it's actually going to start jumping out at you, believe it or not. And as for these, they may not have the NC-17, but I mean it's that bright green greatest hits, brand. I mean it's pretty hard to not see that in a sea of CDs. But that look for that region coding. That's a big deal. If we were in say the UK, that would not say NTSC. That would say NTSC U/C, standing for United States / America Canada. That would actually say something like PAL. Okay. Anyway, keep an eye out for that little NTSC. It may save you some time, and you may find a gem or two that you wouldn't have found before. Okay. We've got another nice deal here at a Salvation Army. There was a Tupperware full of DVDs. I was seeing Angel Season 1. I was seeing 24 Season 3. And those are always, those were just, I know those were shows that were around when the PlayStation 1 was around. So I dug around in this Tupperware and found some pretty nice PlayStation 1 games. Let's take a look. Alright, I believe I'm going to try and go in order just for fun. And I think the first one I found was actually sitting on the counter, just near the Tupperware. And that's always a telltale sign that someone's already picked through and left it. But that wasn't the case here, surprisingly enough. We have Tomorrow Never Dies. I don't know. I guess it's a decent shooter. I haven't played it. It's one player. It's got analog control. That's always good. I've never even seen a James Bond movie, so whatever. The next game I saw I was really excited about. This is one I've been looking for a long, long time. The sequel to Medieval in an absolutely brilliant, pristine case. Medieval 2. the story of Sir. Gosh, it's been a while. This guy was in PlayStation All Stars. Now that I think about it, Sir Daniel Fortescue. Quite a name, huh? Sir Daniel Fortescue on a gothic journey to die for. You play an undead knight going through an undead world. And this is the sequel. Never played it. They only made 2 of these games. I'm very excited to finally find the sequel in absolutely pristine condition. Whoever was buying up those Angel DVDs, they were an adult, and they were a gamer, and they took care of the stuff. Looks absolutely fantastic. So I'm really excited to get this guy. That's going to be definitely going to be playing that during Halloween. Okay, the next one I believe I found was the X-Files, a game I believe we picked up recently. Didn't we just pick this up recently? I don't know. But this is actually a behemoth of a game. This is a 4-disc PlayStation 1 game. 4 discs in this baby because it's an adventure game, and so most of the game is stills. You're analyzing stills, analyzing pictures, evidence, going through dialogue trees, making decisions. But there's also a lot of cutscenes that I believe were taken directly from the shows. I don't know if they. It says here all original footage shot entirely on location. A story created by Chris Carter. So that's interesting. This is actually a separate story from the series, shot by the director and creator of the series, with the actors from the series. So if you're a fan, this is probably something you're going to want to play through. I'm not really a fan, though. Okay. Next one here. I felt like there was going to be an RPG in there somewhere, and I was right. A really nice condition of the worst, unfortunately, of the Final Fantasy games on the PlayStation 1. Final Fantasy VIII. Pretty judgmental of me to say that this is the worst, because of the 3, it's the only one I have not played. I played Final Fantasy VII, played Final Fantasy IX. Final Fantasy IX for me is the cream, the best. I found these characters to be immediately unattractive, immediately turned off. I just felt like Final Fantasy VII was far from perfect for me, but I believe that they had a nice blend of characters. These just look like Barbie dolls to me. I had no interest, and I stayed away from this one. And I don't know if that was the right decision. I've certainly heard some really bad stuff about this one. But, you can only play so many games, and there were certainly plenty of other RPG opportunities on the PlayStation at that time. So I don't feel like I missed out. Then I found Resident Evil 2. Actually, I may have found this one second. I know we have this. I don't know that we have it in this case, though. So this is how it originally came out. This is basically the first edition they ever put out. Really nice condition. Little known fact: if you're not a fan of these games or haven't played them, you've got 2 discs, but you can actually play one disc or the other. I believe that's true. If you play the second disc, you play a girl, and I think that's what it is. They wanted to give you the opportunity to play, a girl or a boy on the outset. You eventually end up playing both discs, but I think you can play them in either order depending on the character you want to play. All right, this one I was excited about. This is not one you see every day. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've never seen this one in person. This is not something we have in the hold, and we are very excited to add it to our ever-growing gaming collection. It is by the makers of Dark Souls and Demon Souls, and it says right here on the company, on the front, from the developers of King's Field, From Software's Echo Knight. So this was made between Dark Souls and King's Field. King's Field was their PS1 legacy of gothic action RPGs. Obviously, Demon Souls and Dark Souls is their legacy of later Gothic action RPGs. Echo Knight falls in the middle, and it falls on its own. It's a very strange, unique game. Basically, you are a deep sea diver who has been tasked with exploring a ship that sank back in 1914. And there were about 40 people on the ship. And it's your job to go underwater and explore the ship and find out what caused the wreck, what caused them to sink. And as you explore, there's no combat. You don't have any weapons, but you will encounter ghosts of these people who died on the ship. And it's your job to use the information they give you to progress and do your best not to be so scared that you have a heart attack. So you're constantly tracking your ability to stay calm and not get panicked or frightened by the things going on around you, whether that be a ghost or something supernatural or something like, this ship crumbling upon itself as you're walking through it. So I've never played it, but it's certainly got a high pedigree around the old hardcore collector scene, and I'm very excited to have Echo Knight. And it's in not a bad shape. The case isn't busted up. It's a little scratched on the cases, but there's nothing wrong with that. Manual's in good shape. Disc is pristine, and this is what the ship looked like before it had its untimely demise into the slimy deeps. Alright. A couple more here. We've got Blood Omen Legacy of Kain. If you ever thought Zelda was just a little too cookie cutter, too sugary sweet, pick this one up. It's the same kind of gameplay. Not as good, I'll admit that. But the source material being a kind of vampire lord, very gothic, very gross, gory and dark, mature rated. This is one I wish I have played through, and I have not. But it looks pretty awesome. So check it out. It's not too expensive. And obviously they made some sequels later on down the line. And then finally we found Spider-Man. Nice copy of Spider-Man. Good all-around action game. You don't just play it, you live it. I think that's maybe an overstatement on Neversaw's part. But still a very good game. We got the stack. The CDs at this place are considered $1 each. I knew I would be able to just walk in there and say, I got CDs, which happened. However, he did ding me in that he double charged me for the double disc. So like these that are double, he charged me $2 on these. So at the end of the day, we got all these for $11, around $10.75. Not bad at all, I would say. So there you go. And then finally, just a couple games I picked up today. Well, I'm looking for this one for a long time. For $2 at a Salvation Army, we found the X-Files Resist or Serve. I hear this is kind of a Resident Evil clone. Really nice condition. It was sitting there with like the Two Towers, Return of the King, and Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, which I think we have. And then for $5 in another thrift store, a little expensive, we found Final Fantasy Tactics 2, Grimoire of the Rift. I played the hell out of the first one for the Game Boy Advance. I believe we have this, but I think we have it loose. For $5, though, I was willing to grab it with the case complete and the manual. And probably what's going to end up happening is I think I'll really just be able to trade in the loose copy and get the $5 back. Even at a video game store, I think the game runs somewhere around $15-20. So we should be able to just trade in and get our money back. So we'll get this one as gravy. So there you go. What did we spend? We got $7 on these, $11 on the sweet deal, and then $4.50, $5.50 on these guys here. So there you go. 11, 7, $23, somewhere around there. All right. Good stuff though. Lots of good PlayStation 1 stuff. We've been lucky right now. Been lucky these days. Really excited about Medieval 2. Okay. Let's get started. Back to the Goonies. We're past the pipes. We're really far down in the caverns where the pirates have set up most of their traps. It's going to get really dangerous down here. Hopefully, we can survive long enough with our last life and our three shots left with our slingshot. I don't know. Let's get started. It's the Goonies for the Nintendo or the Famicom, depending on how you look at it. All right. God bless you, Mikey. Let's go in, buddy. Who are you? Who do you consider to be in the Goonies world? Ask yourself that. That was part of the appeal of the Goonies. You know, the Breakfast Club, they kind of tried to make it so that every social class was represented, but no one really wanted to be any of the people in oh my god, there's skeletons here. Whoa. No one really wanted to be any of the saps in the Breakfast Club, but everyone wanted to be someone in the Goonies. So I guess if I get enough of these diamonds, jeez, I'm gonna get a free life. Alright, I've got my kick back. I forgot I've got a kick. Come on, give me free life. Oh, okay, well, it wasn't free life, but I'll take full life. This is an extremely different game from the first one. First one had a lot of back and forth going for it. It even had some first-person labyrinthian levels to it. This one is pretty much a race against time and a test of platforming skill, and I think that's great. I think that's what's so appealing about it. Goonies 2, you just end up getting lost unless you know the game. Oh, thank God. Now, as for the Goonies themselves, most people would guess Cap and Raz. Well, it's clear who you would be, who you looked up to. You would have looked up to Chunk. I mean, he's the fat kid. He makes everybody laugh. He's, is courageous when he needs to be. And oh, pirate ghosts, awesome. And of course, he wears Hawaiian shirts. Same basic fashion sense. But no, actually, if I were to pick to be a Goonie, I would pick Data. Data was the Asian kid. He had a little trouble speaking English. No one could ever understand what he was saying, but he was a brilliant kid who had all the gadgets. He had a trench coat filled with gadgets, and I remember that resonating with me as a child so much that I remember wearing a trench coat of sorts in my later years. A big coat that had the lining ripped out of it, and two enormous compartments inside the coat where I would keep anything from a Game Boy to Lysol and Pledge, yo-yos, anything that maybe a snack, anything you could need on the road. Now, I didn't have all the cool stuff Data had. I didn't have oil in my oil shooting out of the heels of my shoes. I didn't have. I did have some roller shoes at one point. Loved those. But yeah, I didn't have a lot of weaponry like he did. I carried a lot of stuff on me for a long time. That plus I had like a backpack just like Data. I mean, I was probably, during this time, late teens, early 20s. I was probably carrying
somewhere around 70 pounds wherever I went. Just some stuff. And if you're asking why did I have Pledge, why did I have Lysol, well, to be frank, I wasn't filthy, but there were times where I would go out and socialize right after work, and I worked in a Chinese restaurant. So rather than smell like wontons, I would pledge myself. I would just pledge every part of me, not the skin per se, but the outfit and the coat and whatever shirt I had on. Certainly. It was the 90s. I was a kid who would rather smell like Pledge than go home and take a shower and have to spend more time at my parents' place. So that was me. I loved Data, and I really identified with him. Ooh. And looked up to him, and that was the real appeal of the Goonies, was there was somebody in the Goonies that you wanted to be, no matter what walk of life you came from. And if you haven't seen it, if you haven't seen the Goonies, by all means, I encourage you to. If you like to laugh, if you like to see the underdog win, give it a shot. All right, let me stop getting lost in the movie here. Let me check the time. We're doing pretty good on time. Frankly, I'm more worried about dying than I am. I'm really worried about running out of time. We've got 133 seconds, and I'm pretty lost at this point. I've basically just been dealing with whatever comes in front of me, and that's probably not the best way to handle this. That's probably where the real challenge of this game comes from, is learning. I feel like I want to go up this way. I feel like I need to go up that way. Yep. Oh, but there it was. Is that it? Alright, that's it. Let's wrap it. Let's wrap it. So take a look at this. You'll notice this is... Data's the one running in there. He's got the trench coat. He got Sloth. So everyone is represented here. Whereas in the Goonies 2, none of them were. It was... I believe it was really just Mikey's story in Goonies 2. And we didn't question that as kids. We weren't jaded enough at the time to say, hey, where's Mouth? Where's the hot cheerleader? Where's the muscle bound but understanding older brother? This isn't my Goonies. Come on, Konami, you can do better than that. No, we were all 8, 9 years old, 7 years old. We were just excited to run around as Mikey. Like I said, I have not played much of Goonies 2. One day I do plan on sitting down with it, but I think the Goonies on its own, the first one, I think is really the better game, mainly because it's just a straight up exciting platformer that you're going to have to play more than once to get down, basically due to the time constraints. But for all I know, there may be a way to stop time. Who knows? I haven't played it enough, but I certainly had a blast getting into it with you guys. And I encourage you, if you're looking for something than Nintendo a little different, and you're willing to pay a little bit of money, pick it up on your local online realtor. Okay, how exciting to find a package sitting in the ship's post office box. I was alerted by our good friend Stare Ogre, who sits in the mess hall very often into the late hours of the night, watching, answering questions, maybe clinking a glass or two with those who come in. And he's even been nice enough to spend a little time with the captain himself, slinging cards in Hearthstone. Certainly one of my weaknesses these days. He's been an all-around good guy, and the fact that he sent us something shows that in spades. The fact that I forgot to bring a knife shows what a chucklehead I am. So luckily, I think we're going to have to go with some keys. Let me get my keys here. I know we have an electrical knife floating around here. Oh, I bet I know where it is. It's over in this station now, isn't it? Is that station still over here? Hold on, we moved some stuff around. This is terrifying. This is the last thing I should be trusted to use. This, I'm not even sure this kind of blade is allowed in the confines of Oregon. So hush, hush. All right, but here we go. Let's open her up. And that's when he slices his face open live, because he doesn't have the smarts to cut away from himself. All right, there we go. We're getting there. Close. Oh, as soon as I feel resistance, I get worried. Worried either that I'm going to slip or that I'm cutting something valuable. Okay, here we go. All right, that's not bad. It's a good clean cut. There you go. All right, good. Make sure I put my knife away. Okay, we'll take care of that later. All right, let's put in a nice safe spot over there where I can't fall on it. Okay, so let's take a look. We'll see what we have in here. Oh, we got some video games. What are you talking about? And believe it or not, that was enough of a glance for me to know what video game it is. How exciting. For the PlayStation 2, a copy of Summoner. Hey, how about that? That's great. Summoner is an absolute must-have for the PlayStation 2, says the back. I remember this being a launch game. It's pretty cool. I like that blue hand there. I don't know much about it. I remember it being one of the older games, and actually talking to Ogre about it, and him saying that Summoner was really his first foray into role-playing. So thank you very much for sharing a very, I think most of us gamers would agree that your first taste of role-playing is an important part in your gaming career, of an exciting part, and it really means a lot, Ogre, that you were nice enough to share such a pivotal part of your gaming career with us. I can't wait. We'll sit down. We'll have a lazy playthrough of this sometime live via stream all together. Give it a shot. All right.
Something fell.
Okay. Oh, I see that. Thank you. Okay, we got something else here. Oh, looks like it's a letter. Wow. It looks like it's a big letter. I guess I'll read this first. Hold on, I need the knife again. Okay. Eagle Eye here. Eagle Eye Bismuth, always watching from the sidelines, from the shadows, from the, what do we call it in theater?
The rafters?
No, the curtains, maybe?
The...
I don't remember, it's been too long.
The shadows?
I already said shadows. Anyway, always keeping an eye to make sure I haven't missed something. Wow, this is very intricately folded.
Looks like a map.
It does. Are you guys getting a look at this? You seeing how it opens? And I'm smelling... Get this knife away from me. I'm gonna kill somebody.
It says we'll kick your ass
This smells...
on the knife.
This smells like... And he's from Maryland. This smells like it's been sealed with maple syrup. It smells delicious. It smells like sausages or something. Okay, so let's see here. Wow, look at this.
He's gonna eat it.
He says, ahoy, Captain. I came across this little beauty in my adventures across the Silicon Seas. The original, well, we rode her hard, sir. She's a little busted, and it would be an honor to sail a slightly less damaged ship to you. Thank you, sir. Treat her well, my friend, and they're hard to come by. Yes, they're hard to come by. Fair winds, Ogre. This is a controversial P.S. He says, P.S. THQ, baby. I like that. That's gonna get that. We're gonna keep that letter right in with the summoner, and probably along with this. We'll keep them all together. Okay, and then he's got some extra paper here. Oh, okay. Well, he just gave us some extra burn paper if we want to make some notes. Oh, I like that. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's cool. Wow, that must have taken some time to see that. That was actually. Can you see the burn marks around there? Wow, I feel like I'm at the Renaissance Fair. This is great. All right, let's see what else we got here. Okay,
Make little business cards out of them.
Business cards, sure.
You make like
Valentine's.
You make a stamp.
Sure.
Stamp.
Oh yeah. Okay, so this is just a whole bunch of. Oh wait. Oh what? Whoa! Where did you find this? Are you ready for this?
I'm waiting.
What are the odds?
Whoa! That's awesome.
I think we just did a temporal riff. Wow, how amusing! I think someone has asked me what's inside our exposition shot, otherwise known as our setting shot, and I don't know. You may notice there's some tape on there. That's how I found it. We've never opened it. I have no idea what's inside. So how about that?
That's awesome.
So this one on the other end is actually
Looking good.
feel like we can open it. It's in much better condition.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And inside, it just feels like there's probably some. Okay, yeah, there's just some filler there. Oops, for transit. So thank you, Stair Ogre. Wow, what a laugh. I can only imagine where you found this and what your reaction must have been when you saw it. It's kind of that's kind of like seeing I don't know, seeing a toy from a movie you really like in a toy store. You've never encountered before. So thank you very much. Wow, how exciting. What a magical voyage this has been. It's been filled with pirate ships and treasure and booby traps and memories of old. Lovely memories of old. I want to thank you for joining us out here in Astoria, Oregon, the beautiful Astoria, Oregon. If you're ever in this neighborhood, make sure to try the Pollos de Gamos. Is that what it was called? Queso de Pollo? Close enough. It was really good. And until next time, we're going to let you go. I think that's about it. Yeah, oh boy, we got to go. We're running out of time. So until next time, my friends, we love you all. Goonies never say die. Farewell and adieu to ye Spanish maidens. Farewell and adieu, ye ladies of Spain. For we received orders for to sail to Astoria, and we may never see ye fair ladies again. Keep your powder dry, Goonies.
I don't know.
Don't stop. Okay, that was a good show. Ready for a promo?